everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Offshore Explorer. I'm your host, Chase Offield. In episode 2, I sit down with Ryan Griffin. Ryan Griffin is a guy that I really admire. He's a true outdoorsman. When he's not fishing, he's guiding elk hunts on Ted Turner's ranch. Real cool guy. We go over his 2019 year pretty much and a little into this year, from steelhead fishing to local deep dropping. We kind of go over his experience fishing the Bisbees and the close call with winning that last year. We go over quite a bit of stuff. Ryan's got some fun stories, and hope everyone enjoys. One thing I just wanted to give everyone a heads up on. I'm working with Daryl Marita to get some beautiful custom bamboo tag sticks made, and I'm going to run a little giveaway here to try and get tag sticks out in the hands of our local guys that are out deep dropping a bit, and just try and promote tag and release on swordfish. So be on the lookout for that, and hopefully we'll have that up and running soon. Sit back and enjoy. We got PACFIGHTER, Ryan Griffin. Looking forward to this one. Thanks. All right. Welcome back. Episode 2, The Offshore Explorer. I'm your host, Chase Offield, and today I am super stoked to have Ryan Griffin here. You guys might know him as PACFIGHTER from Instagram. The guy is just one of the most fishy people I've ever known. He's an incredible cook. He's a true outdoorsman. The guy lives the life that, most of us dream about. And just stoked to sit down and have a conversation today. And Ryan, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chase. Thanks for having me, man.
So you were early into 2020. You've already had like a pretty epic year.
Yeah, man. 2020 has been really good so far. It's I call it like the year of the double. Like every fishery I've been exploring so far, we've had like these incredible doubles.
So you were just halibut fishing last week, and you already like scored some nice halibut.
I went out and tried a couple new things, and had some help from a friend of mine down in Oceanside that kind of clued me in on some stuff. And found obviously those things are stacked up because we had a double, nice ones. And we went like 3 for 6 and, an hour on the tide. It was good fishing. Those things are biting right now.
I've heard from, a bunch of people that the local halibut are biting good. And were you guys bounce balling, or what were you guys doing?
We're bounce balling, yeah, trolling. And, it's, I'm not going to get into a ton of detail about, our technique and stuff like that. But, there's a bunch of factors that are super important. Your speed's got to be right. Those are probably, being kind of the top end of the thing is getting your speed right. And most people don't have a boat that they're going to be able to control the speed on, unfortunately.
Were you out there on your boat, or did you fish with a friend, or what?
I was on my boat. Yeah, I fished with a friend the day before, and we couldn't get the right speed for him. And so we went on my boat and goofed around a little bit and was able to get the speed right. But it was really because it was just so nice. We had that high pressure last week, flat, calm.
Nice. And a halibut, like people always ask me like what my favorite local fish is to eat. And for me personally, our local halibut is like,
oh, it's just unreal.
Is my favorite.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you do sushi with the halibut, or?
You can, man. Yeah. And that's, that's something that when I was younger, I was working in Marina Del Rey, sport fishing boats there. And we had this regular that would come out, and he would just focus fishing halibut the whole time. And his whole deal was catching them for sushi. And, he told me just really clean fillets, don't expose them to any skin slime or anything like that. Keep your stuff really nice. Wrap it up. He would freeze it overnight.
Do you do like the overnight, like just in ice on the bone, or do you fillet it right out of the gate? And then I like
anything I catch, I would prefer if I can, bleed it, gut it, and leave it on ice or in a brine, salt water and ice for 24 hours, or even a little bit more, at least 24 to 48 hours would be really nice if you could leave every fish you ever caught in some type of ice situation where it stayed on the bone and you didn't have to fillet it.
The rationale in that is like, it just lets the muscle fibers and everything kind of just relax, or like what's kind of like the thinking on that?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at that. So, just like any type of muscle tissue in any type of living organism, there's a pretty large percentage of water all muscle tissue is made up of, a pretty good amount of water. Naturally, over the course of, a few days of resting and time, that meat will start to basically break down. The enzymes inside of it will start to interact with everything else going on, and the meat will actually push the water out, and you will end up with a much firmer piece of meat with less water weight in it, which will inevitably be a better piece of fish to eat. There's this misconception about eating fresh tuna right off the bone. Right. That's the worst piece of tuna you ever eat in your life. I mean, tuna are warm-blooded. They come out of the water hot. Right. Their endorphins are through the roof. They've just gone through something that their bodies never had happen before. There's a lot of water weight, and there's a lot of, stuff going on that needs time, which I don't know the exact process of how that works, but I know for a fact that time on ice on the bone is really beneficial to the end product. So this might be a good time to, since we're already talking about it, but I've gone down some rabbit holes online on like the Japanese method for taking care of your tuna once you get it to the boat. And, there's how do you pronounce it? Where the ikajime. Yeah, ikajime. So maybe you can kind of explain that for people that have never heard of ikajime, and then kind of talk about like what's your like go-to method, like when you get a bluefin or a big yellowfin in Hawaii or whatever, like how do you like to take care of your fish, like right after you guys gaff them? There's a lot of ways to do things properly, and there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, you could say. So, the ikajime thing, I've only tried it a few times. It's not really something that, let's just say, your average guy that goes out fishing on his Parker and catches a big bluefin, is going to sit there and, whittle a wedge out of the thing's forehead and, find a way to feed a wire down its spine. And basically what you're trying to achieve there is a full nervous system shutdown. When you say like stick a wire down the spine, like the ikajime, I think like when you read about it, the method is you carry like a big piece of wire or like a coat hanger, sort of thing. And and then you're sticking it down the spine of the tuna, right? You'd literally take like a saw, like a hacksaw, bandsaw, whatever, and cut a wedge out of the forehead of the tuna to expose the spinal cord. And you could literally feed a rigid wire, whatever that is, coat hanger, baling wire. I've seen people use all kinds of stuff to do it. And, the thought behind it is that it shuts down the nervous system immediately. It stops the release of these endorphins that are going to potentially, keep heating the meat up, keep it from getting cold now and relaxing, basically. One of the things you'll like hear about guys talk about that are like kind of keyed up on like taking care of their tuna and stuff is like, or fish in general, is like that the meat got burnt. Yeah. So like, that's like when like you don't properly bleed it and get it on ice, right? Like the meat get like, kind of explain that. The simplest way to look at that is usually it's just not, for one, like I said, you got a warm-blooded animal that has gone through a traumatic, experience where it's absolutely gassed itself out, and now you've killed it. It's as hot as it's ever been. Tuna's never had a core temperature like it's got right now after you've wound it up to the side of your boat. And like for people that are listening that maybe never have like experienced it in real life, like when you like cut these fish open, like you can feel inside and it's like literally warm. Oh yeah. Hot. Yeah. Hot. So here's the big issue. A lot of guys, unfortunately, don't have the capacity to carry enough ice and, develop a brine where you've got, a ratio of ice to salt water that you could submerge a big fish into. Unfortunately, that's the best way to get something cold. Make a 5-gallon bucket of ice and make a 5-gallon bucket of ice and salt water. Put a hand in each bucket. Tell me which one stays in the longest. Right. The brine is so cold. Right. I would say that the biggest problem is getting the core temperature of those fish cold right away. And I think that the best scenario for like these Southern California bluefin, once you catch them, blunt force trauma, hit those things on the head until they're done moving. I don't even like to bring them in the boat. I prefer to gaff them, keep them outside the boat, and I like to hit them until they're done moving outside the boat. Then I bring them in the boat, set them in the boat gently, and then I bleed them. That's another thing, right? Like you're not like trying to like just slam a thing onto the deck if you can avoid it. If you can avoid it. I mean, I know there's situations where, stuff's happening and it's just not realistic to, keep a hot fish outside of your boat. Obviously some of these things come in more docile than others. Right. Sometimes there's a little bit more excitement on the boat than necessary. Yeah. So, ideally, if you get 2 good gaffs in a fish in their head and you got two strong enough guys, it's pretty easy to hold them there and get them in position where you can hit them with a bat a bunch of times. And now you're bringing a fish that's dead into your boat. It's not going to start tearing up your cockpit. And it's more importantly, not going to beat itself up. It's not going to bruise its own meat.
Right. So then what? You got the fish.
Got the fish on the boat.
Incapacitated it. It's in the boat.
Yeah.
What's your next step?
I like to gut it. I like to get the gills and the guts out of the fish and get as much of that coagulated bloodline and all that stuff out as you can. And then I think, honestly, the best method to getting these things cooled down, there's like a preliminary stage that I've found that works really good. Throw a rope in their mouth, through their gills, out their mouth, set the fish back in the water and tie it off to your cleat and drag it around for 15 minutes.
Is just to cool it down, but it also probably helps it bleed, right?
I mean, you're going to immediately bring that thing's temperature down 15, 20, maybe 30 degrees, and you don't have to burn any of your ice up. And it's a double-edged deal because, you're getting to flush that thing out with water. The cleaner,
right.
the cleaner.
Right.
It's better for everything. Just keep your stuff clean, get all that blood out of the fish, but mainly you're flushing cool salt water through it. The ocean's, what is it when you're catching those bluefin on average? 65,
yeah,
68, maybe 70.
I think that's like actually a really good tip. I mean, anyone can do that regardless of size of your boat.
I mean, these small boat guys, man, take your time. Let everybody high five out, enjoy the moment, nothing's so important that you can't take a few minutes, 15 minutes to drag a big tuna around and let it get cool. And then, you're not going to burn your ice up so fast. Gives you time to sort of clean up your cockpit, gives you time to get your gear organized.
Yeah. I mean, especially with some of these jumbos, you got the 250, 300 pounders. I mean, that's a big animal. You got to regroup. If
you're fortunate enough to have the means to go out and fool a fish that big and coax him into biting something that you actually landed him on, and now he's in your boat, you better damn well sure take the time to respect that thing and clean it up and get it cold and bring it home in proper condition.
Yeah, I think most guys are pretty keyed up on that part of it, but I see on social media a lot of guys taking pictures with their fish, and you can just tell the thing's been sitting in the sun all day. And it's if you're a responsible fisherman, having all your gear and all your tackle is one thing, but being prepared with the ice and a kill bag and the after game part of it is equally as important as the capture of the fish.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would say that 50% of the entertainment and joy I get from fishing is the food value at the end of it.
Yeah. And
for some people, that percentage is much different. I know people that go out and catch bluefin, they don't even really like to eat it. They just love going to fish for them. And I get that. I understand it. It's not for everybody on the back end of it. But for me, I love the food aspect. I love sharing it with people. I love making creations with beautiful meat that I know I took really good care of. And man, it's just a good feeling. So
one of my favorite things about following you on Instagram and social media and knowing you in person and been lucky enough to kind of experience some of your culinary talents, you are an insane sushi chef. Tell me a little bit how that began. Did you just start it as a hobby, or how did you learn about doing it, or just practice, or what was the nexus of your
it started young.
Ryan dreaming of sushi?
I dreamed of sushi when I was little. The first time I ever had it, I was so young. I grew up in Los Angeles, Santa Monica area.
Were you one of those little groms that love sushi?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. And luckily, my mom and dad really liked it a lot growing up. And so, that was a thing. And we went out to sushi a lot, when we were young growing up in the 90s. I can remember eating a ton of sushi, and I fell in love with it then. And really, I loved fishing and just the primal root aspect of being able to go out, catch fish, and then have this really great, thing that you can serve. And food is what brings us all together, right? It's the glue of our society. And in the back end, we all need to sit around and eat together. And, what better way to basically break everybody out of their daily routine of, glued to their iPhone screen than to,
totally
put your friends or family or loved one together in a room and share something that you went out and personally, harvested and got yourself. So anyways, yeah, I fell in love with food young. I mean, I grew up in a household where gourmet food was a day in and day out staple. My mom was a Julia Child's prodigy, man. We had, we had a epic dinner every night. We had great lunches. My mom dialed us in. And she let us cook in her kitchen and destroy it regularly.
That's cool.
So, kind of that whole love for cooking started when I was a little kid because of that. And, I had friends that came over and they didn't even know what to think, because their house didn't really have cooked meals like we had, but we were making reductions and sauces and throwing down, killer spreads all the time.
Yeah.
So, as I got older, I just sort of carried on with that. And my love for cooking turned a little bit more professional, like when I was 18, 19 years old and I was working on overnight fishing boats and, all of a sudden we're leaving on a trip and the guy who cooks the burgers isn't showing up, man.
So you got thrown into the galley.
Next thing you know, I'm in the galley and we don't need that guy anyways. He wasn't really doing anything. I can deckhand and do the food for this boat. I mean, it's just like breakfast burritos and burgers, This isn't that hard. So we got rid of that guy.
Not Michelin star.
Not really, but I liked it, and found out, oh, wow, this is easy. And, getting thrown into a fire like that when you're like 18, 19 years old, where you've got like, 20 to 25 guys that are all wanting to eat breakfast in the morning right now. And you're on a boat that's rolling around and you're just throwing into this, whirlwind, hoping you can pull it off. And a couple of weeks went by and you're like, well, this is easy. Let's start bumping this stuff up and making some better meals on this thing. This is whack. This boat sucks. Let's get some food on this thing. So next thing you know, we're cooking better food and that's making people really happy. There's way more days where the food outweighs the fishing.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, like people that love to cook, like, it's pretty satisfying when you make something and like, you get to share it with people and they're, especially with fish, because I'm sure you've experienced this a lot more than I have, but I'll meet people all the time that are like, I hate fish. I can't eat fish. I don't like sushi. And I'll say to them like, have you ever had fresh fish? Right. Or is your only experience like going to an event or like at a wedding where they serve some steamed piece of salmon, which is probably like the worst salmon you can possibly get.
For sure.
It tastes super duper fishy. And you're like, I don't like fish because you've never actually had fresh, good fish.
100%.
And then, you cook up a piece of like fresh mahi-mahi or fresh halibut or, whatever, something local and fresh. And they're like, oh my God, this is the most insane thing. It's like, yeah, that's what fish is supposed to taste like.
Blow your mind. I mean, you walk into any grocery store pretty much anywhere in the United States right now and, take a look at their seafood selection. And there's probably something in there that's like, whoa.
Yeah, mystery.
I don't know if you should even have that in there. And then you think about, well, the people that don't like fish or whatever, they probably bought a piece of that stuff, not knowing any better.
Right.
Rightfully so. Why should they? They're not into fishing or whatever. Let's buy that, honey. We'll try fish for dinner. Get home and this stuff tastes horrible. Ever had a piece of yellowtail that's gone past its shelf life? It's like,
yeah, it's not.
How many people bought a piece of fish like that at a supermarket and went home and that's the last time I'm going to have fish? That's horrible.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So when you like started to like mess around with sushi, were you just like, getting like chunks of tuna and like doing like sashimi, or like when did you start like kind of taking it to the next level? Like I see some of your spreads now and it's like straight out of Nobu.
Back in like, I can't remember exactly when, 2006, maybe 2007, I was kind of in between some jobs at that time. I wasn't really looking for a job, say at the moment, but I was on the peninsula. I was riding my bike around. It was the middle of the summer. And I had just ridden past like Rudy's and I took a left and I see this building. It says Bear Flag Fish Company on it. And all the doors were open. And it was like, they were like in one of the final phases of construction. And so I just like rode my bike, like literally in the front door. And I was like, hey, this place is pretty cool. What is this place? And here's this guy, Toss Carson. And he comes out. He's like, hey man, what's up? We're just new fish market. We're going to be selling fish. We're going to do some tacos and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is cool, man. He's like, yeah, we're looking for help. You got any experience? I was like, well, I'm not really looking for a job.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, can you fillet fish? And I was like, oh yeah, I got a lot of experience with that.
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm working for this guy the next day. And that was like a 4 year deal where I worked for the Bear Flag. And
I never even realized that. So you got in there and you were like doing it for real.
Yeah, I was like one of his first employees. It was, when we first started, there was only 4 of us. And
no wonder Bear Flag, I like their sushi so much. Now it all makes sense.
And so all of a sudden, here I am, and I'm really getting to explore this like passion I really didn't even know that I had for, food in a way that was like, oh my God, every day we're just getting all this incredible product from all over the world. And next thing you know, I mean, I've got my hands on stuff every day for, tons of time. And I've learned how to deal with all of it in this really unique way that you would never be able to get to unless you were touching and feeling this stuff day in and day out. So all of a sudden I realized, wow, there's like this whole creative side of this I can really let loose. So one of the main things of the Bear Flag is, you walk in and their fish cases really, really stand out. You know?
That's the first thing you see.
It's beautiful. And so I really enjoyed putting that together every day and making it different. It's like this palette and here's all this great stuff and build this art project in this fish case every day.
Well, I mean, I think like, you obviously eat with your eyes first.
For sure.
For me, like being a serious fisherman, whenever I cruise into Bear Flag and I'm standing in the line, because there's always a line, and I'm just scoping the fish in the display case. And it's like, it's insane. I mean, it's
on point.
It's on point. It's super fresh. Did Toss kind of like just give you free reign and was like, yeah, dude, let's do some sushi, or like
kind of, yeah, and so anyways, once, that whole idea really started out as a market concept. Come walk in, select a piece of fish you want to take home and maybe have a fish taco while you're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And then it morphed into
more a restaurant,
restaurant that sold fish.
Got it.
More of a crab cooker, style platform.
Right.
Because the demand for the food, all of a sudden we're making these fish tacos, they're blowing everybody's mind. And next thing you know, we got like a line out the door for fish tacos. We're a market. Okay, well, I guess we're a restaurant now. So
shout out to Crab Cooker, by the way. I love that place.
Oh, absolutely.
The OG.
If you don't like crab cooker, you can just beat it.
Yeah, seriously.
This is so good. Yeah, I'm be excited for when they get opened up again.
Yeah.
So what we realized is we were getting a lot of calls, for like little catered stuff, like, hey, we want to put an order in for food and, can we come and pick up, so-and-so of this and that and blah, blah, blah. We realized that a lot of these people were calling orders in and then they were pulling up to like the dock over by the Blue Water Grill and they would walk down the street and pick it up for their Duffy cruises.
Oh, okay.
Right. So you get a lot of people calling in Bear Flag food because they know they can, rip over there real quick and grab something. And so all of a sudden I'm like, thinking, I don't know how the idea really stemmed exactly, but we started making these sushi platters,
Okay.
And they were like, for $100 or $150, I put together this big platter. You could come and pick it up, set it on the table of the Duffy or
crowd pleaser,
put it out at the house or whatever. And bam, everybody's just mowing sashimi and, rolls down and stuff like that. And so these platters kind of turned into a thing. And next thing you know, we're making a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's good practice for, making stuff look neat. And so I got a lot of ideas from, different people and came up with some styles of my own and just really enjoy cutting fish and making it look really beautiful and presenting it in different ways. And then, knowing how to break it down so that you've got these incredible little pieces that just taste excellent and they look even better.
I think that's like one of the things that for me, like that stands out about, a lot of guys can like that fish can whip out like a sashimi platter.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I see some of your stuff, it's like, you really like kick it up with like, all the accoutrement and,
the garnish.
The garnish. Thank you.
Yeah. The spread, and again, back to the, you said it yourself, if it looks good, it tastes good kind of thing. And there's a lot to be said about that. And for me, it's just like, I love the way people respond to putting something in front of them that looks so beautiful. And then it tastes so good. Oh my God. One of the coolest books I got when I was young, I don't remember how young, but I was pretty young. Like, before I really had a real clue about cooking or anything, was Sam Choi, the chef from Kona. Deep roots in Kona. He's a
most like famous Hawaiian chef.
He's got
ever.
a poke book, man. There's a whole book that he wrote, and it's all poke recipes. And I got that from a young age, so I was trying poke recipes like from a young age, and
before like poke is
man,
what it is now, and
way before.
Everybody's got a poke shop on every corner.
I love that book, man. This is before I ever went to Kona. This is before I ever knew anybody. Now I know Sam Choi personally. I know both of his kids personally.
Nice.
We're buddies. And so this is all way prior to that, years and years. And so anyways, that was one of those cool things where I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good stuff. And these recipes are pretty awesome. And then from that, poke is just, in the simplest terms, its definition is small cuts, things that are cut small. So everything in pokies, right? It's cut small cubes of tuna, small diced vegetables. There's no rules to poke.
What is your go-to like PACFIGHTER poke bowl?
Oh man, well I just do pretty traditional style. So I like spicy. So I take a bowl of cubed tuna. Obviously, take the best.
Do you have a preference, bluefin or yellowfin? Like,
just as long as it's fresh and in good condition. I don't have a preference. I really like the bluefin though, man. It's hard to beat that stuff.
Yeah.
A good piece that's been well prepared and taken care of through the whole. Oh man, it's hard to beat that stuff. It's pretty much unbeatable. The texture is so good. The flavor is mind blowing. I
agree.
It's got
it's
it
insane.
all.
It's insane.
Yellowfin's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variances in yellowfin.
Right. So you're a more traditionalist. Like, what do you like to like throw in your poke bowl? Like, how do you like to prepare it?
Sesame oil, sriracha, green onions, sesame seeds. I like traditional ogo, which is a Hawaiian seaweed. It's farm raised, but it does grow wild. It's got a real sort of earthy, oceany, something that sort of reminds me of like almost a fresh oyster taste to it.
Is that like the dark green?
It comes in a green or a brown. You can get it in both.
Can you score that like at the Japanese markets around here?
Yeah, they've got it at Tokyo Central. They've got it at Marukai. There's a few places and they have it now. And you can get it dehydrated. It's not the greatest, but like you get that stuff and I'll take that with me and I'll throw it in my backpack when I jump on an airplane and go somewhere.
I love that.
Bust a little bit of dehydrated go out, mix up a bowl of poke with something that you don't normally get there, when you're down in Mexico. But yeah, I mean,
it's the little things like that like take something that's like pretty ordinary to like just next level, I think.
And then I throw a twist on poke a lot. I'll cut fresh basil up. Basil's really good.
Nice. I'll try that.
Basil goes well with raw fish.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things that you don't really expect, but it really gets, sort of just really boosts the flavor. Cilantro. I'm a huge cilantro guy. I like fresh cilantro and everything.
I love cilantro.
Sweet onions, cucumbers, whatever. You can't go wrong. Just, go with your own style. Cut it all up small. Mainly what makes poke look the best is really how good your knife skills are.
Right. This is just a personal thing for me. Like, I think there's some people that don't like poke because they'll get a bowl and it's got a ton of sinewy.
That's rubbish.
Right. So
we've all had that piece of tail cut that's full of white.
So like that's not supposed to be in your poke bowl. Just so like people recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go somewhere and get a bowl of poke and the ratio of pieces that have white connective sinew tissue in it are more than, say like the top loin Maguro clean, they're just jipping you.
Yeah.
Poke is supposed to be made with premium top loin tuna.
Yeah.
And, that's what you would expect if you're going to go and pay for it somewhere, at least. So, and if you're going to make it yourself, don't avoid that stuff. Nothing worse than, sitting there having dinner with your girlfriend and you just made this poke and her first bites a piece that she can't chew and now it's caught in her teeth. And it's just like, well, this is a bummer. This
totally.
Stuff, I don't like that. So,
And that goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. It was like with people that don't really enjoy seafood, I think they've had just like a bad experience. You can have a bad experience with poke. You can have a bad sushi experience. You can have a bad any type of fish. You put down like a properly like taken care of piece of fish and I think it's almost impossible not to enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I made some of that halibut I caught the other day and I did like classic chicken tenders, fried crispy. And I mean, I gave it to some kids and they didn't know what it was and they were just blown away.
They were just stoked.
They've never had anything like it.
Yeah.
Halibut's interesting. I think I call it the filet mignon of chicken. Because there's no taste, right? There's really nothing to it. It's more just like a texture. It's like a filler. It tastes like whatever you make it. So if you fry it, it's crispy.
Yeah,
it's got this really tender, mild texture and flavor. It's like chicken.
That's hilarious. I've never heard that.
It's a filler. It's a texture. I mean, if you ate a piece of halibut just by itself, nothing on it whatsoever, it's almost tasteless.
Okay. Yeah. I never really thought of that. That's true.
So, you build around from that. It's a filler. It's a component of a construction project, whether it's a fish taco, a ceviche, but in the end, it's just the protein and the filler that embody all the flavor you've surrounded it with. And so you have the ability to make it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not like a fish, like a salmon or something that's got like
very distinctive.
Right.
Or a bluefin, you go to a bluefin belly, very, buttery, rich.
Right.
I don't want to eat too much of that.
No.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Go to that top loin. I could eat 10 pounds of it. It's just got, it's lean. The flavor's there, but there's flavor, a lot of flavor.
So switch gears a little bit. A few weeks ago, you were on like a pretty killer steelhead trip. I don't know really anything about steelhead. So last night I was doing a little Google search, and like every article that was popping up was a debate whether steelhead or salmon or trout. And people were like pretty like serious, like, oh, it's a trout, or no, it's a salmon, or it's a ocean going trout, a rainbow trout that looks like a salmon. We don't need to like go down that rabbit hole, but tell me a little bit about like the steelhead thing. Like, is that like a kind of a new quarry for you, or have you been like a long time steelhead guy?
No, I've got some roots in steelhead fishing. I've been going for quite a few years. I think this was our 8th year going now, and I go with kind of the same group of guys every year. We've got sort of a core group, I would call it.
And is this like this early in the year, like December to March? I was reading is that like when they're
winter steelhead?
Okay.
And so depending on where you are regionally, there's winter runs and there's summer runs. There's like places on the Trinity River.
Where's that?
It's in Northern California as well. But the Trinity River runs, long. It's a vast expansion of a waterway. And so it takes those fish that long to get to their spawning beds that they might start their journey in the winter.
These fish are coming out of the ocean, right?
The fish that we're catching are coming straight out of the ocean, and we're fishing close to the ocean. There's seals in the river chasing these fish.
Oh, no way.
Most of the fish have bite marks from seals on them.
Oh, really?
It's a big problem.
Okay. And, and we got a massive seal problem in the state.
It's totally screwed up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. Long time ago, there wouldn't be any seals in the river for, I don't need to explain why, but, people were taking care of those problems.
Yeah. You get in big trouble nowadays doing that kind of stuff.
Steelhead are very interesting. They're not a salmon. They're a trout. It's a sea run rainbow trout, however you want to look at that, or whatever, breakdown of that you want to look at. And the biggest and most arguable difference between salmon and steelhead are that salmon come into rivers and spawn, and when they spawn, they die.
Right.
Steelhead don't die. They just go and they spawn. They just march their way up the most horrific, gnarly water and get through the craziest rapids so they can get into some tributary where there's some type of aggregate bottom that's got the right pebble or gravel that they like, that they know, and it's all based on scent. They smell.
Really?
The smell of the river that they were born in is what brings them back. And that's why we've screwed up all these rivers in California. They've all got dams on them. They've all got tons of development on them. You change the science behind the smells going in the river with all that stuff.
Yeah, and probably the pollutants and runoff, like that's got to like affect all that.
Every time I catch a wild steelhead and I hold it, I'm blown away that we're even allowed to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's such a delicate fishery. I think that it's so delicate. I feel like it's like every time you're holding one of those things, you're holding a piece of fine china that could just break and you'll never see it again.
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of notifications about different fisheries and whatnot just because I'm interested in that. And all that stuff, and I'm sure you've heard about the deal going on up in like Washington with their salmon, Pebble Mine, and you get a bunch of stuff like that where there's there's definitely a lot of awareness. Yeah,
one of the best things about social media, man.
Yeah,
accountability and awareness.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about steelhead, but I think a lot of these fisheries are like hanging on by a thread because, like you said, I don't think it takes much to like wipe out these local populations. And
there's very little bit, not very much is known about wild Pacific Northwest steelhead, but they range themselves from, Southeast Alaska all the way down through the Olympic Peninsula into, Northern California. What's interesting though, is that, you don't see large counts of steelhead in, say, the salmon trolling fleet or the purse seine fleet. They don't, where do they go?
Is there a commercial steelhead fishery or no?
They don't know where you never catch them.
It's kind of like a mysterious fish.
Like if you Google it, there's a picture that comes up of some guy that was albacore fishing off the coast of Oregon and he caught one on a Zucker's tuna feather. And that's
the old Zucker tuna feather.
That's like one of the only reported cases of a steelhead caught in the ocean.
Really?
Why aren't they caught in the ocean?
Yeah.
Where do they end up after they leave the river or, come into the river and stage? They kind of just disappear.
Crazy.
I mean, I've asked a lot of different people that should know the answer to that. You'd think they would.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that work in the marine biology field in Northern California. And that answer to that question is good question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That's one of the cool things being involved in like fisheries science and stuff is there's still so much not known about most of these fish. It's
a wild frontier of information to be gained.
It's not like going out and putting a transponder on an elk.
Right.
And you're going to you can see where it goes and this is where it goes and this is what it does. And
we got a collar on that thing.
Yeah.
We're following it.
I mean, we still don't know so much about the ocean and the wild animals in the ocean. It's pretty cool. So you do the steelhead thing and how are you guys fishing? Are you fly fishing or what's the preferred method?
Yeah, there's a few ways to look at that. Most of the fish I've never caught a fish on a fly rod. I've tried a lot. I've put a lot of hours in.
Never caught a steelhead on a fly rod.
Excuse me. Never caught a steelhead on a fly rod. I've caught a lot of fish on fly rods.
Yeah.
I love fly fishing. In certain aspects, I prefer it over anything else. However, fly fishing for steelhead, man, the guys that do that are productive and successful are serious anglers, then hats off to those guys because you could stand for weeks and put in hours like you can't imagine.
You got to be hardcore, dedicated steelhead fly fisherman guy.
And it all comes down to, your terminal tackle at the end when you finally do connect. And boy, you hope that holds up. And, most of the fisheries are barbless in California. And, there's so many things working against you connecting with a steelhead on a fly rod. One is access. There's a lot of places in rivers where there's steelhead, not a lot of places that you could accurately fish it with a fly rod.
Okay.
So, geography to fly fishing is important, and being really good at fly fishing obviously gives you an upper hand when you get into areas that some guys aren't skilled enough to fish properly.
Right.
Presentation, getting a fly to the right depth where there could be steelhead based on conditions, which are ever changing at all times. Some of the areas that we fish, an inch of rain can change the river, from 10,000 CFS to 15,000 CFS in a matter of hours.
Oh, wow.
Now, all of a sudden, your whole tactic for this little zone that you've been fishing the last few days, you better evolve quick and get
the window
and get your stuff right. You better adjust. Now your leader size is changing, your lengths are changing, your weight's changing, and everything's happening quickly. And you better adapt. Otherwise, you're not really fishing. And if I go up to the Pacific Northwest and if I hook one steelhead,
that's a success.
I'm success. I've had a successful trip.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't even need to land it. If I get up there and connect with a fish, I feel like I've had a good trip. So, this year there was 5 of us on the trip. We ended up catching 6 steelhead, 5 guys.
Is it a release fishery or can you keep them?
Where we were fishing, you can only keep a hatchery fish. It's 1 hatchery fish per angler per day. Anything that's native has to be released, and it's very easy to tell. We're really lucky. Salmon and steelhead fisheries, salmon and steelhead both have adipose fins, it's a small caudal fin that's between their dorsal and their tail, and it's about the size of your thumbnail, and it's just kind of a little flappy, rubbery fin back there.
Okay.
It's very easy for the hatcheries to remove it. They snip it.
So they snip every fish that comes out of those hatcheries?
Every hatchery fish has their adipose fin removed.
Really?
And so it's very easy to identify a hatchery fish when you catch it. They have no adipose fin.
Okay.
We rarely catch hatchery fish where we fish. Most of the fish we catch there are wild. The hatchery there, I'm not going to say one thing or the other. I don't really know that much about it, but I've heard various rumors about it not really being as active or successful as it has been in the past. I've heard there's lack of funding, there's lack of this, there's attributes that make the hatchery fish appear to be less and less every year. And then there's the argument that, well, it's really good that you're seeing wild fish in more abundance than hatchery fish in this system. That means that it's arguably that it's working well.
The whole hatchery debate, that's for a whole another podcast.
Absolutely.
My involvement with our white sea bass hatcheries and stuff, it's a lot of people make huge arguments on both sides. I don't want to go down that road, but
I'll just say that I think hatcheries in general can't hurt anything if they're done, with a conservation-minded crew of people that have like-minded interests in the longevity of a fishery. I don't think that you can do anything but help it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's arguable, and everyone's welcome to their opinion on that,
I think that's probably definitely correct. And I know there's been a couple instances where things got messed up, but if you got good people running the programs that have devoted their life to research and studying and biology, I think they generally know what's best. So,
and you can drive up to Southern Oregon. There's a lot of rivers that you can fish in Southern Oregon where you can catch 3 fish per day, hatchery or wild. Throw them in the cooler.
Wow.
There's argument there in Southern Oregon that the hatcheries have really, made a lot of headway, and their fisheries are better, and they've got better stocks of fish showing up in the rivers every year. And so, they're more lenient on what you can take and what you can't take versus Northern California. Barbless, a lot of it's artificial only. Most of it's a hatchery fish per day. And then there's a report card for steelhead, just like lobster, and it's the wardens up there are no joke, man.
Yeah, that they got to probably police that pretty hard. I mean, that's a delicate fishery, like we were saying.
Don't be surprised if you ever find yourself in a drift boat in Northern California and here comes a guy dressed in plain clothes in a kayak as a fisherman, comes right up to your boat, starts grabbing your hooks and putting them in his flannel shirt. And if they don't come out, you're getting a ticket.
Really?
Yeah. Fishing game. Let me see all your hooks. Start putting hooks in his shirt. Better not have a barb on him.
Oh, wow. So he's just checking for the barb.
They'll knock you on the barbs for sure. And then, they're strict. If you go steelhead fishing in California, there's a great chance you're going to see a warden. You better have your game tight.
But I think that's good.
Oh man, that's the best. I think that should be like that everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for having as much, oversight in that. I hate when I see guys that are out poaching and, not adhering to the protocols that the state set. It's just, you see it a lot.
It's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And unfortunately, there's this greedy aspect, with a lot of people that are out fishing. It's like, man, there should just be better rules and regulations. I think it's one of the biggest problems with our fishery in California is catch limits, size limits. I think all that stuff is way overdue for a lot of change, reevaluation.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a big part of that is getting the fishermen involved. I mean, I think guys
it's all for their benefit.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. That's how you should look at it.
I mean, a lot of times, a lot of the regulations and legislation is set by, marine biologists. And, that's great that they know a lot about the biology and physiology of fish, but they're not out there as much as we are.
Right.
And,
right.
guys just, all these meetings and stuff, they're all public.
Right.
And I've only been to a few, but there's not a lot of recreational guys involved.
No.
It's either the commercial fishermen that are, have a financial stake, or it's the scientists and environmentalists that aren't actually fishermen. So a lot of our stuff gets set by people that aren't on the water, and that's on us. We need to get more involved in our own program.
That could be a whole podcast as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about that indefinitely, and I think it's really interesting in the state of California that we've now have this real nicely established big bluefin fishery.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good chunk of our year.
Yeah. We're so lucky though.
Why the hell can't you go in a poke restaurant or a bar somewhere and get a piece of it?
Good question.
Where the hell is it? Why are we buying fish and flying it overseas? Why is it coming on an airplane in a freaking, vat full of ice from, Spain or Chile or South America or wherever else we, import all this fish from? Where the hell is all the fresh bluefin that's right here in our backyard for sale at the freaking restaurant? The best meat you could possibly have. I mean, I don't know, man. If I was a restaurant owner and there was a seasonal bluefin fishery, I would be capitalizing on that, and I've heard all kinds of craziness about people saying, well, there's not enough, the demand's not there. You got to be kidding me. There's millions of people in Southern California, and it's home to some of the finest dining in the world. And you're trying to tell me that, of the how many millions of people are here, there isn't a demand for this fresh, amazing bluefin to be, say rod and reel caught and sold locally.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say is we live in a world now where people will pay a premium for artisanal USA, California caught, sustainable bluefin fish. I think people will pay a premium for that product. It's not some crap that's been flown in from an Indonesian commercial trawler that doesn't play by any rules. And they send the stuff here for dirt cheap because they don't pay their workers.
Right.
And that's what the wholesalers buy, and then the restaurants buy it from them.
The most fucked up part is that it's cheaper to import fish than it is to pay for it right here in our own freaking backyard in a lot of aspects sometimes.
Oh, I know. And that's where like I feel for the American commercial fishermen is they play by the rules. And
for sure.
We have really good fisheries management.
Absolutely.
We take care of our stocks, and the guys go out and they do everything by the book, and then they get undercut by this like foreign shit that comes in. And that's just, that's a tough deal.
That's a big problem. That's a huge issue. And so, the rule book's changing. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a handful of guys here in Southern California that have taken some initiative, gone out, gotten the proper equipment on their boat to get big fish cold and keep them on ice properly. And they've got F&G permits and logbooks, and they've got a buyer, and they're selling these bluefin to a niche market here. I had a friend that goes out and rod and reels a handful of bluefin, and he's got a buyer that comes and picks them up right there on the dock, and he's got relationships with gourmet restaurants and takes them right in their back door. And I don't see any more sustainable way to bring a fish to your plate when you go out for dinner.
I think that the fact that like a lot of markets and restaurants are being more transparent on where their fish comes from. If you care about the ocean and like fish, you should make it known with your wallet and like ask, where's this fish from? Is it American?
Where's the local fish, right? Is it American?
Support USA fishermen.
100%.
If you have an option, get fish that is caught in the United States. It is 100% better for the environment, and you're supporting like fishery and a fisheries management that has the sustainability and conservation like behind it.
Look at the carbon footprint from a batch of tuna that came from Indonesia. Are you kidding me? Versus the guy that went out on his 26-foot boat, brought one in and sold it.
Right. Like, like those guys in Kona, that are doing it, catching stuff like rod and reel.
It's an epic commercial fishery.
Putting like their kill bag in the back of their lifted truck and then taking it down to the local poke shop or whatever. And like, was lucky to live in Kona for a while, and man, I love seeing that.
Well, Kona's really great, man. The father and son duo can take off on their 21-foot boat on Saturday morning, go out fishing for the day. Might catch a couple ahis or might catch a marlin, get back to the dock, put the boat on the trailer, drive right over to Kona Fish, pull right in, unload your fish. A couple weeks later, you got a paycheck in the mail.
Right.
That's direct source, local fish from your local fishermen going right to a local fish supplier that's sending it out to restaurants right there, on the island.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Those guys are stoked. And it's really, Hawaii's great in a lot of ways. It's very lenient in terms of what laws are in place there for commercial fishing, compared to California. Those guys don't have to go through anything like you'd have to go through here to register your boat as a commercial fishing vessel.
I could sit here and make a great argument probably for both sides of that. But I think that in California, there's a few more hoops to jump through in terms of getting your commercial license for whether it's tuna or swordfish or whatever. But I think that's something that, we should maybe promote, is for more guys to go through that process and do it legally, because we can't have guys doing it under the table. And that screws the commercial guys. We can't have that. It's bad for everyone. But
I would say
go out and plop down $500 for your swordfish commercial license if you want.
I would say if you're one of those guys that knows how to go out and conk these things when they show up, and you're one of those tigers that just kills big tuna all the time, and you obviously don't have an outlet for it because you can only give so much away to your friends, family, neighbors.
And your freezer fills up fast.
You can only smoke and freeze so much of it, and honestly, it doesn't really last that well. Let's get serious, And if you're one of those kind of guys, and you're selling stuff under the table, man, shame on you. Go and do it right. Like you said, go and support the local fishery if that's what you want to do, if you want to sell fish. And I do think that it would be better to have more small boat anglers out there supplying fish to our local seafood industry.
Yeah, and doing it legit. You know what I mean, it's like,
it's not that hard, man.
no, I would pay more if I knew like the fish that I was buying came from that resource.
There's a demand for the fish. There's people that'll pay for it. And I'm not saying that, everybody should get their Parker registered as a commercial fishing boat and just go out there and start commercial fishing. But, I do think that it's a good way to, support a sustainable local seafood industry, is to have guys that are going out on small boats, taking great care of, a few fish, not a ton of fish.
Yeah.
Bringing it in. And, this really great chef who's got this big following at this great restaurant is now receiving and utilizing something that is truly sustainable, that came right here from, our own waters, and it doesn't carry a carbon footprint the size of Africa with it,
Totally. I'm on board for that. So
I think it's interesting. I just want to see more local bluefin in our restaurants and markets. That's the point.
So do I. So just to put a bow on the Steelhead thing.
Oh yeah. We got way off track there.
One of the things that I liked and I got a chuckle out of was, you posted, you're like, hey guys, I'm getting hit up with messages. Everyone's asking me where I'm fishing. And it's like, you're like, dude, I will go out on my shield protecting this spot that I love.
I'll take it to my grave, man.
I love that. And it's one of the things that really bothers me. I'm going to sound like a boomer here.
Sure.
But like, dude, the social media thing, like everyone jumps in your DMs to know where you're fishing. I love when one of the new things that's like emerged over the last, 5 years or so, where guys will post a picture holding up a fish and they use like the Photoshop and scribble out the background. Like, I love that. I think it's hilarious. And it's one of my favorite things when people do that.
You got to blur the background out, man. I mean, that's what it's come to.
Dude, it's like CSI. I mean, I've done it. I've seen a guy like post a sea bass picture and you can see like, part of the Catalina in the background. I'm like, well, oh yeah, I recognize that outcropping. Okay, I know where he was.
Yeah.
Talk to me just a little bit about why you posted that and how you feel about kind of everyone. I'm sure you get it a lot because you have a pretty big following on Instagram and you're out catching fish that you absolutely have to protect the spot or it'll be blown. Like actually that day, guys will like see you post something on your story and we'll jump in their boat and go.
100%. And I know that for a fact. And I mean, there's a handful of people that are, in the tight group of friends that, I do share information like that with, and they do the same with me. However, the Steelhead thing, there's a good amount of people, I bet you, that see that. They know exactly where I'm at. They got a good idea generally what kind of region I'm in. It's one of three places kind of thing. However, even if I did tell everybody where I was catching all those fish and that really great, beautiful water and this, incredible river background and everything, the reality is that, 99% people would never go up there when they realize how freaking far away it is and how remote it is. It's an effort that you're just not going to spend that kind of time to go somewhere that you don't know anything about. And if you do, you're going to go there and probably be disappointed. You're not going to catch fish. Sorry. I mean, unless you've really got your Steelhead game figured out and really showed up there with some type of knowledge that came from another fishery of Steelhead, you'd just go there and see this beautiful river, make a lot of casts, hang up a lot, snag a lot. You're not going to catch a fish. It took a long time to learn how to present the right bait in the right place at the right time for those fish, and knowing what part of the river works well based on the water and the flows that's coming down at that time. And, a place like that is so sacred, man. It's like there's not a lot of those left, especially in California. And people want to know on Instagram. Well, I'm never going to tell you that on Instagram. I don't even know you,
Yeah. From my perspective, like having never Steelhead fished before, like just like looking at your pictures, it's like, dang, dude, that's something like I'm sure everyone wants a taste of. I mean, it's
and
like
I understand
you got the
that.
like big, beautiful forest. You got the like beautiful, like you said, gin clear water, and it's all overcast and misty, and it's like, dang, dude, if that doesn't like get you fired up to like want to be out in the outdoors, like you're like in the wrong game.
And that was the whole point of it. It's like, those places, those types of fisheries,
those wild spots,
they exist, man. You just got to be willing to go out there and find them. And I mean, that's what I mean when I say you got to put up with the good and the bad. Because if you're going to go out on a limb to find those kind of places where those types of fisheries exist that are just so remote and beautiful, there's a great chance you're going to go and have a bunch of negative experiences trying to figure it out. where you're not happy and it's frustrating and you got hit with weather and you didn't know how to read the situation before getting into it. So you got there and the river was too low or too big or whatever. The reality is that it took me years to figure it out. And it was only because of the help of these. I go with a couple guys that are in their 70s, man, that have been going to that spot for the last 40 years.
And they brought you in, like, you know, they kind of like, they soused you out early.
Reluctantly, they brought me in, man. Right. You know, it wasn't like, you know, I was a hindrance to them, you know, trying to take somebody steelhead fishing for their first time. I mean, that's like trying to teach a toddler how to walk. I mean, it's difficult, you know. There's a lot of details to that fishery that you could spend a lifetime learning. I've been lucky to get a pretty force-fed, fast-paced education. And, you know, when you go to the same spot year after year, you learn a lot about it. And so trust me, man, I've put in my dues for some of those days where we've had great fishing. And I've damn near lost my life last year fishing on that river. You know, we had a terrible incident where we misread a rapid and we approached it a little bit wrong on our drift boat and we high-sided on a rock and now we're stuck. And we're stuck in the middle of a river with no way to get off this rock. And we're looking at each other and we're trying to figure out what the best solution is. And thank God the guy that I was with, the first thing he did was start handing out life jackets. And now
Was there just the two of you guys or?
There was 4 of us.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, these drift boats for these rivers are, you know, they come in a handful of different sizes, but for the most part, they're all cut from the same mold. You know, they're a bathtub made of aluminum. Some of them are fiberglass. Most of them are aluminum. You know, they're really meant to fish 3 guys, a guy rowing and then 2 guys fishing out of the front. But, you know, it's not uncommon to see these things with 4 guys in them. This day we were, you know, happened to have 4 big guys. You know, I'm not a small guy. I'm, you know, 6'3", 220, and the other guys in the boat were bigger than me.
Oh, wow.
Kind of thing. That could have played a role in what happened. But, you know, we came down this rapid and got stuck on this rock, you know, and totally took us all by surprise. And the guy rowing the boat is a veteran steelhead fisherman and has rowed on this river his whole life. He grew up there. He lives there. All of a sudden, here we are, and we're caught in a bad spot. And the look on his face was what set it in motion. I mean,
you knew like that was serious.
And the look on, you know, at first I'm thinking, oh, this isn't that big a deal. We'll just pop off this rock and off we go down the river. Thank God, man. He had the wherewithal to get your life jackets on first. Let's do that. We all put life jackets on. And then it was like, well, we're just kind of stuck here. We're not really like in imminent danger right now. But
was it like fast water?
Really fast. Big water. I mean, there's white water all around us.
Oh, wow.
So we were going down the river bow first. We hit this rock, came to an abrupt stop. You know, and the rock, imagine a fist clenched, sticking up out of the water, and the knuckle at the top caught the bottom of the boat, the aluminum. And I mean, caught it and buried into the aluminum.
And are you like broadside to the water? Or are you like?
We hit it bow first. We stopped and we spun around 180 degrees and stayed locked on that rock. And so now the bow is pointed upriver, and I'm in the bow, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking over. I can see the rock; it's right there, and I'm like, "Shit, I could put my foot over the rail almost and just stand on the thing and push us off of it." Not going to happen. You'd start moving and shifting some weight around, and the boat would start yawing back and forth, and like, "Oh boy, don't do that."
Yeah, easy.
Don't anybody move.
It's like one of those, like when the movies where like that truck is like on the edge of a cliff or something.
Get out very slowly. Yeah. Everyone start getting their weight somewhere where we're not doing whatever this is doing right now.
So what'd you guys do?
So we ended up putting life jackets on, and we had time to put everything on the boat in dry bags and kind of get all of our stuff essentially organized, because we were figuring like, well, worst case scenario, we're going to be stuck here until somebody comes down the river and can at least be on standby for us if we do have something happen. They're going to be right there. Well, nobody was coming down the river.
And this water's probably cold, right?
It's 40 degrees, man.
Dang.
And it was pouring rain outside, and it was probably 50 degrees outside. It's cold.
Hypothermia is like a serious issue.
Oh, man, it's so bad.
Yeah.
So bad, yeah. So anyways, we got all of our stuff kind of organized, put away, and we're thinking, like, this is bad. What are we going to do here, man? So I stand up in the bow, and I'm looking over at the rock, and I was like, this guy Jason with him, like, hey man, are you okay if I try jumping up, you know, take my weight off the bow, you know, think that'll carry us off? And he goes, all right, let me get ready, you know, in case we do come off it, I'll be ready with my oars. So he kind of gets himself sort of situated and has his oars up out of the water, and he's ready to come off this rock and you know, spin us around, get us going back down the river and, you know, walk this thing off basically.
Yeah.
So I stand up, I jump, We come off the rock like 3 inches, come back down on it, stick again. I'm like, oh, it's going to work. We're going to come off this thing. It's not going to be a big deal at all.
Yeah.
I do it again. We don't move at all. Do it again. We don't move at all. So this other guy sitting next to me, he's a big guy. I'm like, hey, dude, stand up. Let's just count to 3. We'll do it together. Not a big jump, just a light jump. Let's just bring the pressure off this bow. Just get the weight off this rock. He stood up. We did like this little baby bunny hop, came up. We came off the rock, immediately came into this very turbulent water, and we're not moving with the speed of the water at all. The force of the water coming against the boat when we finally came loose off that rock immediately just completely plunged a rail, and we just flipped over like
gnarly.
In one foul swoop. We went from being on a rock dry and like, okay, we're under control here. We got this situation figured out. We're all in the water.
Holy shit.
I just like turned around and fell out of the boat. Like now I'm just sitting in the water and I'm floating. Like, I cannot believe we're in the water. What? Oh my God. Where's Jason? Jason's underneath the boat. He came out from underneath the boat. Massive black eyes, pouring blood out of his left eye. His oar just hit the bottom and just blew into his eye. So his whole left side of his face, I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm good. Get your buddy Pete. I was with my buddy Pete from New Mexico. He's from Vermont. He's not a guy that grew up around the ocean or anything. I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's been in, he's in the freaking most turbulent piece of water for the first time in his life ever.
And it's like, it must have like taken your breath away, like that cold of water. Like,
oh my God, this second you go into it. Well, for one, I had probably 4 layers on, base layers. I had long johns, then I had a t-shirt, and then I had boots, like microfiber, slickers, full Grundens, extra toughs. It's like a vacuum sealer, man. You go in and all that stuff just comes tight to your body, and it's so hard to get a breath. It's literally like it's sucking into your body and you can't get a breath of air. And it's so freaking cold that it's just painful. It was brutal. I mean, the initial in the water was like, oh my God, I can't believe what this feels like right now.
Yeah, like getting punched in the face.
Jason did get punched in the face, and he is a ex-Coast Guard swimmer, rescue swimmer.
Oh, wow.
The other guy we were with is a Navy SEAL instructor from Panama City, Florida.
You're kidding.
Those 2 guys were just, they're gone swimming.
Like they weren't phased. They were like, oh, okay, like this is time to act.
Time to swim. Yeah. These are both guys that have been in bad situations before.
And then you got your one buddy who's
my buddy Pete. He's like the look of terror on his face. And I grabbed him and I'm like, put your feet in the air and get into your life jacket and let it float you. We're going to go down this rapid. And we rode it out. Number one cause of death in a river is somebody that gets swept away and tries to stand up.
Why is that?
Because your feet get caught in the rocks.
Oh, wow.
And when your foot goes into a hole, the current grabs the hold of your body.
You're done.
Forces you underwater. It's what causes most people's drowning. What's the first thing you want to do when you're out of control, getting swept by the water? You want to try and get your feet in the ground and
stand up,
get away and walk out of this. You can't. If you put your feet in, it's the worst case. You want to put your feet up, pointed downriver, and you want to backstroke.
How deep was it?
Oh, I mean, it went from probably 6 feet deep to 25 feet deep.
Okay, so it was pretty deep.
Not deep enough where you're going to put your feet in.
Yeah, you're not standing up.
Like where we initially flipped, like you could have tried to stand up right there for sure. But definitely the most important thing if you ever do fall in a fast river is, get on your back, put your feet in the air, and backstroke your way like you're getting out of a riptide. Go at a 45 angle to the shoreline with the current. Work away from it. Don't touch the bottom. Here we are, we're going down. The second we start going down the rapid, my boots get sucked off my feet. I'm with Pete, and I mean, we're swimming. It was the closest I've ever been to not having enough physical energy to make it to the beach in my life.
I wonder if like when you guys were stuck on the rock and you're getting kind of like everything in the dry bags, like, knowing that this could have happened, like, did you in your head have a plan where if you went in, like, how far were you going to like float down the river till you thought you could get out?
Like, so imagine we were in the top of this rapid, and the rapid was, a couple 100 yards long where this, a lot of elevation loss. And so there's white water and, major churning happening. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it was this really deep pool, like 25 feet of just swirly toilet bowl current, where it was getting staged into the next rapid down. We didn't have a plan of where we were going to get out, but we all ended up on the same beach together. Okay. And Jason and this other guy, 2 Jasons in the boat, got there pretty quick. And Pete and I were the last ones there because I was kind of with Pete, like dude, relax, stay calm, just stay on your back. We're just going to paddle it out together. We're not, just keep your head up, swim. We're good. We got to the beach and then it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Now what?
We're so screwed. Oh my God. We're all freezing, start getting clothes off. Luckily my cell phone's in my pocket. I got a Pelican case on it. So Jason's like, call my dad, call his dad. He's right down the street. His dad just came down like freaking,
was charged.
NASCAR'd it down there in his diesel truck, blew a bunch of freaking bushes out of the way and just came right down to the gravel bar. We all piled in the back of his truck. And, before he got there, I got on the phone with my other friend who we were fishing with, who was on another drift boat. He was just up the river about a mile. And I call him, he answers the phone. He thinks we're hooked up or something.
Yeah.
I'm all fired up. I go, hey man, we just flipped the boat. We're all in the water. We all just got out of the water. All of our gear's everywhere. You got to get down here and start trying to figure out where our gear's at, and help us out. And this is before we had a ride. And you got to get down here, man. He thought I was joking. He hung up on me.
No way. You're kidding.
I call him back. I'm like, you get down here right now. I'm not kidding, And so he shows up, and by that time we had a ride showing up to pick us up. And basically we all piled in the back of this truck back to the house, and we just all got in hot showers.
Dude.
And we got our senses back and, got the wherewithal to get on the phone with this guy who had a commercial diving business in Brookings, Oregon. He answered his phone and we said, hey, we just lost a drift boat and we wonder if you might be able to help us recover it. And he says, how many fatalities were there?
No way.
And I go, there's no fatalities. Everybody survived. And he said, it's the first time I've ever had a call for a drift boat recovery where there's no fatalities.
Whoa, that's heavy, dude.
And it kind of settled in like, oh my God, sort of got flushed,
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jesus. So, dude, this guy was a savage, man. He showed up in a big diesel F-250. He had a 1,000-foot spool of 1-inch poly rope on the back of it attached to his trailer hitch. We put my friend's drift boat in upriver, went through that rapid again, and located the boat. My friend who was there is just an epic freaking well-prepared outdoorsman. He's a fireman. He's got this radical grappling hook. We found the boat.
Is it underwater?
The boat's in 25 feet of water. The boat where we flipped rolled all the way down this rapid. Da-dunk, da-dunk, da-dunk. Just rolled itself down underwater. It ended up like hundreds of yards away from where we flipped it, upside down on the bottom. It looked like a dead tuna laying on the bottom in 25 feet of water. Just a big white belly aluminum boat down there.
That's crazy.
We drifted over it. He dropped his grappling hook. He got a hook on it, and now we got a buoy on it. We got a marker. Here comes the diver that shows up to help us out. He's already in his dry suit, and he's got this spool of rope. We just went over and picked him up on my buddy's drift boat. He carried the spool, he grabbed the end of the rope. He just unspooled it. We dropped him off right over the top of it. He went down with his hooker rig, hooked the carabiner on his rope up to the bow eye of the drift boat, and frickin' took him back to the beach. We dragged that boat right out onto the sand. There was very minimal damage to it. We got back almost all of our gear. Everything floated. And my buddy, it was a huge team effort. A lot of people came together.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I'm jumping and fast forwarding, but a lot of people came together and helped us recover that boat. That night, the river went up almost 10,000 CFS. Would have lost the boat forever. Would have been gone, unrecoverable. So in the same day we flipped, we all walked away from, a near-death experience and recovered this guy's boat.
Was the boat like fishable, or was it like just done?
It was done for that trip.
Yeah.
It needed to go back to Willie Boats where they manufacture them. It had some welding and some fabrication needs after that. It got pretty torched.
And you guys lost all your gear?
Got all of our rods back. Had
no way.
One broken rod. Our rods, we bundled them up, and put them in a bundle and put those like quick ties around them.
Mm-hmm.
Must have rolled over. The whole bundle just came out and frickin' hit the bottom and just rolled its way down. And the whole bundle was like maybe 20 feet from where the boat was laying. And the guy was like, "Oh, I see your rods."
They were on the bottom. You're
like,
kidding.
Like 20 feet from the boat. The rod.
Dude, that's insane.
The rods. He came up with the rods, and we got damn near everything back out of the boat amazingly.
So the decision to put your life jackets on probably was critical and nobody dying.
I'm fairly certain that I wouldn't have made it without a life jacket based on how gassed I was when I got to the beach, for sure. It was brutal. It was gnarly. So now I'm a proud owner.
Now you're like hardcore life jacket.
Now I'm a proud owner of a Mustang survival jacket, which is a CO2 inflatable jacket. And I highly recommend having that, even if you're going to be a shoreline guy. on a river that's dangerous. Not all places you fish for steelhead on rivers are really that dangerous. A lot of it's slow, calm water, but
yeah, but you never know.
Some of the places that we go, man, you gotta trudge your way down steep hills and stand out on the edges of pretty slippery, gnarly rocks. If you were to slip and fall in, oh man, you're in a world of trouble. And so now I'm a big advocate on life jackets for sure. And so is everybody in our crew. And, now in the boat, there's a life jacket on everybody at all times. And the whole time we're thinking about, well, imagine these older guys that we go with that are in their 70s that they wouldn't have handled that well.
Those are the guys that don't make it.
That's a bad situation for somebody that's in that stage of their life, I think. Extreme cold, extreme physical output. It's just they don't have it, right?
I don't think having like just a tiny few experiences like with going and like jumping into like a freezing cold lake and stuff. I mean, It's like you can't prepare for that. And then you got like all that gear on and it's like, dude, I mean, that's a seriously heavy situation.
So back to the original deal. I'm not giving that spot up for any damn reason.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, that I got a secret, that place has got a serious hold of, a core part of my heart. And I love steelhead fishing. I love that we have the ability to go to the Pacific Northwest and see those rivers. And I love that it's humbled me now into something that I never had that kind of respect for those rivers before.
Yeah. I mean, you had a life and death situation there. I mean, that's like,
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared about getting in drift boats. I have a whole new outlook on drift boats and river fishing that completely is black and white from what I used to think about it. I never had any fear.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably before, until you're faced with something like that, you can kind of like block it out and you're like, oh yeah, it's probably, that can happen, but it's not going to happen to me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. That, and you're complacent. You're with your bros, you're fishing. You spend my whole life on boats. I'm not worried about this. We're in a river. It's not a big deal. If we fall in, we'll swim to the beach. Like,
right.
Yeah, right, dude. You will not swim to the beach. You will be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I think just fishing in general, I mean, I think we all get complacent when it comes to that sort of thing and falling off the boat or a boat sinking. And, whenever you get in a situation like, maybe not to the extent that what happened to you, but anytime like something like that happens, it's like, it's a reality check. It's like, dude, this is not something you play around.
So let me just say that it happens fast. Bad things happen fast. And they're usually when you least expect them. And I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff can happen anywhere. I mean, what happens if somebody slips and falls off your boat and you're running at night? I mean, you better be prepared to make some moves fast and get your head on straight. And, there's things that can happen out on the water that you better have some common sense and some respect for and know how to deal with them, or at least manifest how you would deal with them beforehand. So now I just have a much better understanding of that stuff. And it feels good to go back up there and still capitalize and be successful in that fishery and have that outlook now, which hopefully I can share that story with people and that story gets transpired into people being more conscious and safer about, their fishing outings. The whole goal is to go out and have fun, right? We love fishing because it's so much fun and it feels so good to be in the outdoors, but it is dangerous. And there's places and things and times where stuff can really, all of a sudden something happens, it goes bad. I mean, are you prepared for your buddy to get a 10-0 Jobu hook buried in his leg when he frickin' accidentally screws up with that tuna that's bumping around on the deck back there? Because
do you got the bolt cutters?
You have a pair of bolt cutters on your boat? Because
most guys don't.
I do.
Yeah,
things like that, right? Do you have a tourniquet? Have you ever had to stop profuse bleeding before? Probably not. Most people haven't.
No.
If you had to, though.
Yeah, you'd have it if you had to.
You'd be wishing you had something, things like that, right? So I'm a big safety guy. I like safety equipment. I like to think that I take into account what could go wrong in a trip like that. And we do a lot of, pretty extreme fishing and stuff during, when I travel, and I end up in quite a bit of remote places. And, I've seen bad stuff happen. I've seen injuries and things like that. So, as you get older, that's
one of the things, like, it's like some guys have this mentality like, oh, it's not cool to like be, have the safety gear, wear a life jacket. The guys that are like the most extreme, like the most hardcore outdoorsmen and fishermen that I know are the ones that take safety the most serious. Like,
absolutely,
because they've been in the game long enough where they've seen bad shit happen.
Absolutely. And
they know what happens when you don't have the tourniquet.
Yeah, right.
When you don't have the bolt cutters, whatever it is, And they're fishing in gnarly spots where you can't just, run 20 minutes and you're back in the harbor. Like, so the point being, like, take that stuff seriously. If you're a serious fisherman, you should take all that stuff seriously.
Without question, 100%. Because at some point in time, it's like it's a numbers game or whatever, right? If you go enough times, eventually something's going to happen. If you ride a motorcycle long enough, you're going to crash.
Right.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah, and I think
if you fish long enough, you will get a hook in yourself some point in time.
Yeah, it is definitely, it's 0% if.
It's just when.
Everybody that I know that's a serious fisherman or outdoorsman, like, has had some sort of brush where they were like, that was heavy, and I'm glad we either had the right stuff or we're lucky and we were able to handle it, and we're not going to let that happen again.
And yeah, for me, that was arguably the heaviest in my life, for me personally. So, that's back to that post. I got a lot of deep stuff about steelhead fishing going on in my head, and I protect that area because it's dear to me and my friends, and we cherish our time there. And I feel like we have a lot of respect for the fishery, and we release everything and we follow the rules, and we go up there and we work hard to catch that one fish.
I think you're a few years younger than me, but you've like grown up in Southern California and our fishery, around the same time as me, and seen the evolution of social media. And you touched on it earlier, but I think a lot of younger guys now, like, don't want to put the time in to find a new spot. And like, there's a lot of, with fishing is like supposed to be hard.
Right.
It's part of the fun is it's hard. And
right. It's just super challenging.
A lot of guys don't want it to be hard anymore, or that's how they've been brought up now, that things are kind of handed to you a little bit easier. I mean, there's online websites where you can get spots, and there's spotter playing dope, and guys are, posting on social media, like live streaming when they're like on a foamer or whatever. And when you post on social media, like, I'm sure you're cognizant of, like, if it's a sea bass, maybe I'll wait a few days to post it, or I'm not going to give away the location because I don't want to blow it for like some guys that maybe doped me up and brought me in on a spot.
Absolutely.
Like, what goes through your head, like, before you like make a post on social?
It depends, man. I've had arguments with people. I've had arguments with people about posting stuff specifically about sea bass fishing where, I was asked to take, a post down because it was affecting, they were worried about it affecting their day-to-day operation. And, it was too soon to post the kind of content.
Like a commercial guy or like a charter guy?
Charter guy, And so I, hey, okay, if that's really what's going on, I guess I didn't see that avenue of that. And I didn't realize that what I was posting was, intuitive enough to potentially impact your day-to-day charter business in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know, man, I kind of laughed it off. I did delete the post. I sort of shrugged it off, and I just, whatever.
Yeah.
If it's that big a deal to you, then sure, whatever. But I mean, most of the time, if I have content that I feel could potentially get a big crowd of people somewhere at a certain time for no reason, I mean, yeah, I'll wait. I never post accurate posts, right? When it comes to sea bass stuff, I mean, post it in 3 weeks or a month or next year or whatever. If you really want to, got that great picture, that killer video, those freaking wide open bites or something, wait a while, man. Wait till those fish move somewhere else to go continue that journey.
I think it's like kind of funny too. You can kind of screw with people too if you wanted to. You
100%
take the shot like at a different spot.
Absolutely.
And post it and let people think, oh, dude, he was.
Let me just say this: nothing on my Instagram is ever accurate to the timeline.
I didn't imagine it was.
Yeah, I mean, if it is, it's something that it's untouchable and no one's going to mess with it anyways. And I don't care. The story thing, right? You post stuff on your story that's theoretically like pretty recent, within the day or the last few days or something. But if I do a post about something like sea bass, it's usually long since passed. And, I'm usually leading somebody to believe it's not anywhere near where it actually was. I mean, that's just, are you fishy or not, man? Are you going to go out and, if you want to go out and catch fish, and quiet down about it, and frickin' you find that bite where it's biting good, tell the couple boys about it and go out there and catch a few and have fun. Cause it took a long time to figure that out and get into those spots. And nowadays it can get blown up so fast. I mean, Surfline will blow a sea bass spot up.
Depending on my mood, like sometimes I chuckle about how hardcore the sea bass scene is, because that's the scene I grew up in.
Sure.
Growing up in Catalina.
Deep roots in that scene.
Deep roots, dude. I mean, it's like, the Catalina guys, they're always on a bite before like a Catalina bite
Absolutely.
before anyone else. And you'll see, like, as word leaks out, a spot blows up, and generally like the bite's over by the time everyone shows up.
More often than not, if you heard about it, you're too late.
So I know both sides of it very well. And part of me too, like, just laughs at some guys take things like way too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I love watching it sometimes from like a third party perspective and seeing the disputes kind of like unfold. And it's just, I don't know, we get the popcorn out and like on social media. I mean, there's been some pretty comical beefs.
Oh yeah.
And like, I know, we will message each other sometimes on social media and with some other friends or on Instagram and stuff. And there's been some pretty comical situations.
For sure. Social media is a platform for just crazy banter and bullying and evil thoughts and anger. And, people really cut loose on that. And, my big thing is respect, man. I will hold up nothing but the highest level of respect for you as long as it's reciprocated. Mm-hmm. And the minute that level of respect towards me has changed, well, you've completely gone downhill in my book. And
you're out of the loop.
You're gone, in my opinion. You don't even exist to me anymore. And so, the fishing industry for me is I've, been successful and fortunate enough to be able to fish in a ton of different places all around the world in a ton of different fisheries with a ton of different types of people. And it's all been developed through people skills and respect. And people that don't have that respect for you and don't, lose those things and start to get outlandish on social media and stuff like that. I mean, well, you're just a dirtbag in my opinion at this point. And, I see you later, man.
Yeah. And I think our scene here is so small. It only takes like one indiscretion and you're like cut out.
100%.
Like I don't think you can even ever earn your way back in.
No, it's hard to rebuild burned bridges.
You see guys that have done something and been foolish on something they posted, and it's like you got to be careful. I mean, that stuff follows you. People don't forget. And
no,
there's been times where you see things that happens to like guys that are like, oops, but other things where people are more blatant. It's like, dude, you're out.
I mean, for me, social media is really positive, man. For me, it's introduced me to so many people I never would have known. It's given me connectivity to fisheries I always dreamed of exploring and never otherwise would have had the means to. It's connected me, man. It's given me the opportunity to pursue different jobs. It's given me the opportunity to be sitting here with you. It's given me so many chances to meet incredible people and do stuff in places around the world that I never would have been able to do otherwise. And so, it's one of those things that
I think
it's negative for some people.
From my perspective, like, I think we first met, Instagram was, just kind of like getting started. And I'd seen some of your Instagram stuff before we ever met, I think. And,
sure.
I think like when people look at like your platform, you're not selling anything.
No.
So it's like, it's way more genuine.
For sure.
And I think like in today's social media scene, like everyone's trying to sell something, not everyone, but a lot of guys. And I think like when you come across like a page where it's someone that's just got like the passion for fishing or for hunting and they're not trying to sell you on anything, like that's like the stuff people like gravitate towards because it's like pretty rare now.
For sure. I think that there's a misunderstanding about, a lot of the aspects of my life. I do work in the fishing industry. I am for hire. I hold a captain's license. I am capable of providing food for your trip. I work on private yachts, expeditions. I come in and I'm the guy that can do the food for you. I can be your second ticket. I can take the place of a few people as one person. I'm really there because I love fishing. I love food. I love shooting video and photos, and so having those skill sets has given me an opportunity to jump on board a lot of great different work avenues over the years and get on in some incredible places and some incredible boats. But, my bread and butter is from another world. I work in property management. I have a background in real estate. I have other things that pay my bills. So, I don't have to be on Instagram, promoting my charter business or selling myself constantly. It's really just some people read the Wall Street Journal, and I want to know what's going on in the fishing world. I want to see what the guys in New Zealand are catching. I mean, the striped marlin fishing is incredible over there lately. These guys are conking them, big giant things. I mean,
monsters.
I love getting on the Instagram in the morning and seeing that when I drink my coffee. Look at these guys, just nailing the striped marlin in New Zealand right now.
Yeah.
Look at these guys down in Australia. It's rough as guts, and they're out doing this. And I mean, I just think it's great to be able to see all that stuff. And so, for me to share my end of it, and then maybe at some point get to connect with some of these people when I travel and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden I get a call, hey, would you be interested in doing the food on this expedition trip we got for 10 days as so-and-so and blah, 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 and bring your cameras. And, well, yeah, I'm there, man. Cause I got a schedule on the back end that allows me time to do that stuff. I'm really fortunate in that regard. So yeah, I'm not selling anything. I'm not trying to promote anything. And I'm affiliated with AFCO. I've been basically, wearing their clothes, using their terminal tackle, and, part of their stuff for, as long as I've been involved in the professional fishing industry. And that's about it. I mean, but I don't really go out of my way to do much for that. It's just a matter of, well, I like their gear because it works.
Yeah, that's good gear.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of story.
Your photo and video stuff is really cool. Is that something that
I wish somebody would pay me for it more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I wish we had a little bit more fishing content coming out of our zone.
For sure.
Guys, I'm super into watching fishing and hunting stuff online. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Nick Stanzik has got a YouTube channel now, and there's a guy.
He's great.
Have you heard of Deer Meat for Dinner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that guy.
Super good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I wish that we had something like that going on out here.
I'd like to explore that avenue more. I think, I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, you're missing out. You're not, get in on that YouTube scene. And, that's where you can actually start to, collect some, some benefit from your, the effort going into the content and stuff like that. And so, I think about that. I just don't really know the right way to, dive into it. But it's incredible. Some of these guys that have created these huge followings on YouTube and created, basically making a living off doing it,
Yeah, I mean, that guy, Deer Meat for Dinner, he, I was looking at his page the other day. I think he's got almost 3 million subscribers. And,
unbelievable.
But I think he was one of the very first people that started the catch, clean, and cook.
Yeah, right.
And now you at least on my feed, on YouTube and stuff, it's everything is the subtitle of the episode is blah, 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 mahi mahi, catch, clean, and cook in parentheses. And it's
sure.
He was one of the first guys to do it. And hey, dude, his little vlogs are 15 minutes long. It's this is a iguana.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tearing up my friend's organic farm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
I went out and I killed it.
Sure.
Which was fun to watch.
Yeah, right.
And it was a pest, but I'm not just gonna throw it in the trash. I'm gonna properly skin this thing.
Yeah, right.
And fillet it and show you, dude. And my son, is 3.5. We were watching an iguana video the other day, and dude, he was just loving it. It was hilarious. Bet. And then he cooks it and he feeds it to his kids, and they eat it, and he's like, dude, this is a good way to cook it, and this is awesome. And I think people are love that. Nothing's going to waste. I mean, I think
that's
cool.
Great. I really do. I think it is. And I think you're right. I think it's worth expanding on some of that stuff here. I mean, especially because I think really people can, I want to do stuff that people can take away some information from. I think that's beneficial. What's the point of all the effort if somebody else can't, learn to make it better for themselves, So from the fish processing to the, the catch, the clean, the kill, right? The preparing of the fish is important. And a lot of people...
And that's only just the first part of it.
A lot of people don't know how to follow through. I can't tell you how many people ask me to come and help them fillet their swordfish that they caught. A lot of people catch a swordfish. They don't know what to do with it.
That's a big thing for me. It's if you're going to go out and spend all the time and learn how to deep drop and catch a swordfish and buy the gear.
You better be prepared.
Dude, watch the freaking Nick Stanzik video on how to clean a swordfish properly.
Absolutely.
It's 15 minutes. And he breaks it down. It's pretty simple.
It's not much more than cutting a watermelon up, man. I mean, just freaking.
No, but I mean, that's what I mean. Guys will spend a lot of time learning how to deep drop, because you're not just going to if you want to deep drop, you got to know a little bit what you're doing.
Sure.
If you're going to go out and catch a swordfish, watch a video how to clean it.
Absolutely.
That's that's part of now you got the fish. That's part of the whole fun is
For me, yeah.
Vacuum sealing it, cleaning it up,
the best.
Getting out the bloodline, like, that whole thing.
Such a big portion of it. And I think, people could benefit from more of that type of content,
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, so I think always about the beginning of that big tuna showing up here in California, there were so many guys with just junk fish on their boat. No one had a kill bag big enough. No one had ever bought 400 pounds of ice for a trip before. What is it, crazy?
Or those like jumbo, what's the company that makes those big kill bags? Like,
they're reliable.
Yeah. You like those big, reliable kill bags. Like they can't even keep them on the shelf.
Yeah. And those didn't even exist. Those, those 90-inch or whatever, those huge, 9-foot long ones they have now. I mean, those weren't around like 5 years ago when people were first starting to catch tuna here. And so it's great. I think there's a lot to thank there for, people on social media, gassing each other about their junk fish and all that. Well, I don't want to be that guy. I'm going to go out and figure out how to make this right.
Yeah, and then so it's like an accountability. I mean, it's
accountability. Like you don't want to be that guy that came in with that fish all junk and beat up. You want to be the guy that comes in and everybody's like, "Oh man, that's incredible."
Yeah,
How'd you
that's
do
like
that?
Another thing. Like, you post a lot of like your fillets and stuff, or vac sealed, and it's like looking all pretty. Like everybody should aspire to that. Like in terms of like the handling of their fish. Like.
Absolutely.
That should be like a valuable Instagram post is like the grip and grin.
100%. It should be as big of an emphasis as it is to go out and learn how to catch the fish. I think you should be accountable for taking care of the things that you harvest.
I want to see you doing the like kneel down next to your like cow tuna. And then like, I want to swipe and see like, this is like, it's all vac sealed and clean. And then swipe again, and then your poke bowl or your fish tacos or whatever you're doing, or you're smoking it. Like I'm so stoked when I see that.
I get a lot of really positive feedback from that kind of stuff. People love the food pictures and that stuff way more than anything to do with the fishing stuff. When I post something,
it's got like that broad appeal.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to like that, and it's a bigger audience that can appreciate, really good looking food grade stuff, right? Not everyone's into the grip and grin or the blood and all that stuff. And, I don't know, I try to avoid that to some extent, but I get way more feedback from food and information about food and proper methods for this or that. People love that stuff. It's great. And I like it too. It fuels a little fire inside of us all. I think all of us are addicted to the social media platform and
for sure.
In that regard,
question.
We all like that, that energy that comes back. It's like, oh wow, this is really being perceived well. I'm going to try and do more of this. And I think this is good. Makes me feel good. I like that people are seeing it as a positive. It's not creating negative banter. I think it's just, a lot of people just aren't really.
Yeah, you're proud of it, I mean, and you should be. And it's like, it gives you like a little bit of affirmation that like, other people appreciate like what's going into
great.
it.
This is cool. And then I get a lot of people messaging me specifically like, hey man, I had this happen. What did I do wrong? Can I do this better? And, I'll take the time to talk to anybody that's got a legit question and wants some help somewhere. You know, I'd like to think I've done a lot of consulting in that regard, over the years. I mean, I've helped people figure out all sorts of different techniques of fishing. They're having trouble with this or that. I love talking to people, helping them out. I mean, I'd love to see people go out and be successful, especially after you gave them the rundown,
Totally. And like fishing is supposed to be fun. Like, let's be like real. Like the fishing is supposed to be fun. You want to get like guys involved that are out there to do it right and have fun. And, that's where like, you give a guy like a little piece of information if he's going to, maybe have a better chance at scoring.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's not that big a deal. I mean, most of this stuff's already out there somewhere. I mean,
it's not all top secret.
People don't really utilize too much stuff. I mean, there's a lot of fisheries, there's a lot of, there's some ways to catch wahoo and stuff like that are, kind of secretive here on the West Coast, but not to these East Coast guys.
Yeah.
You go over there and they've been doing that stuff forever, and it's not hard to figure it out on YouTube. Being a little bit resourceful goes a long way in today's world, and there's a lot of information out there. You just got to know where to look and how to get it, things like deep dropping. That's not hard to figure out.
Right.
If you're having trouble getting that stuff figured out, well, you're just not on YouTube. I mean,
exactly.
Stand
by, everybody. That wraps up part 1 of my interview with Ryan Griffin. Part 2 will be coming down the pipeline soon.